Have you ever wanted to create a turntable in ZBrush? I'm going to demystify the process and show you how. Hi creators, welcome back to Academic Phoenix Plus. My name is Monica and I am your guide through ZBrush. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do a turntable in ZBrush fast. If you're new to this channel, I post tutorials on a weekly basis. Software includes Maya, ZBrush, Substance Painter, and so much more. So if that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing. So bring out that creativity, open up that software, and let's go ahead and get started in creating a turntable for this character or any object in ZBrush. All right, so the first thing you have is our character over here, and she is mostly complete until you see her feet, and I have not completed her feet. For the sake of this video, let's pretend she is done and she's wearing funny socks. And what we're going to be doing is basically creating a turntable for her so that I can display her in my portfolio. Now, the big one that we're going to be using is documents. So in documents, you can see that the width and height is at 1482 by 920. Now, if you want to create something that's going to be more for television screen or your monitor, then we need to change these values. I'm going to change it to 1920 by 1080 and then click on resize. And it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to resize? I'm like, yes. She's going to look a little funny, and then you're going to see a bunch of them. No big deal. Just go back to edit mode and then do a Control N. And there she is. Focus and put her back into place. The other thing is, you might want to change the color of their background. So let's go to Documents, and over here we have Back. And if I click on back and drag, I can actually pick a color. I do encourage you guys to pick a different color so she stands out. So you can choose a lighter color or you can choose a darker color. Now, there is something called a range, which will build you a gradient, but I find that very distracting. Most people prefer a solid, so I would encourage you to make sure that your range is at 0. You want to make sure your character is centered, so make sure you focus and then pull back and then place her in the center. Like so. Remember, this is the document size, so what we're seeing is not the full document. So let's go ahead and zoom out. You can see that over here on the top ones, we can kind of zoom in and out, and it's very clear now that I've changed the background. You can see the size of the document is. So this would give me a better idea of where to place my character. So double check to make sure that your character is in fact in the size of the document. So again, you can find it here. This is different. This is zooming in and out of the model. This is the actual document itself. Let's make her a little bit further back. But we do want to see all her beautiful detail. All right, now that she's placed in the center and we can see the document, we're now ready to start creating our turntable. So over here to the top, we have something called Movie. And it's going to be a lot easier if I just grab this and drag it over here. If I go just by the default and click Turntable, you're going to see that she just turns around. And then I can play the movie. Up here at the top, we have Play Movie. And you can see that it did everything. This is the reason why we need to make some changes. So you can see that we have a ZBrush icon that fades. You can see the whole UI. You can even see the mouse moving around. It's not exactly the type of quality we want for our portfolio. So let's change a few things. The first thing we need to do now that we created a turntable, we need to delete it. So go ahead and delete it and not save it. The second thing we need to do is tell it that we need to render it using the document. So right now it's doing the full window, which would be great if you're doing a tutorial, for example. But in this case, we actually just want to render the document. And we want to make sure it's large. So right now it's in medium, which is only going to give me about 50% of the quality. And you definitely want to go for large. Moving on down, we're going to go to modifiers. And this is where you can change your frames per second. The default is 24, which is going to 24 frames per second, which is going to work, and also 48. You can increase these by 30 by 30 or higher values if you want to, but this will work for the sake of this tutorial. As we keep going down, you're going to see that we have a cursor size. So you notice that in the movie, it actually showed the cursor. We don't want that. We want to change that to a 0. We definitely don't want to see the cursor in any way. It is going to spin 180 degrees one time. If I want more, I can either double it here. What I usually do is just take it into something like After Effects or Premiere and just duplicate the animation and edit it from there. The next thing we're going to do is go over to Overlay Image, and there we can have a ZBrush logo. I personally am not a big fan of displaying the ZBrush logo, so I'm going to go ahead and change that into a 0. And finally, the title image. You guys are welcome to type in your text and keep the ZBrush logo if you want to, but again, I like to do that in post, so I'm going to go ahead and change everything to 0. All right, now that we have this, let's take a look at our turntable. Let's go ahead and let it run, and then we can watch the movie. There it is, nice in HD. That's a nice 360, 24 frames per second, no weird elements. That's exactly what we want. However, that's not exactly what I want. I do want it to render really nicely. So for example, if I click on this BPR, I'm going to get this render occlusion. The way I found that one is going to Lightbox, and then over here we have a variety of options in render sets. And the one that I have selected is this one, which is the radial overlay. But I also feel like it blurs my edges a bit. I'm not liking the way it's looking in this scenario. So in this case, I'm going to go in and choose the other one, which is called Preview AO. I'm going to go ahead and double click on that one. And now you can see that I have a much nicer look. So if I rotate my character a little bit and then click on BPR, I get a nice occlusion render, which is what I want. Now, I do have to tell you guys that once I create this turntable, it is going to render every single one of them like this, in this really nice look, but it's also going to take longer to render. So just be aware that when you render, that's what's going to happen. It's going to take longer, but it's going to look prettier. Before we can do that, let's go ahead and hit delete. I'm not saving this. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on turntable. Now I do have a nice machine, so the rendering is going pretty well, but it's not as fast as the other one. So something to take into consideration as you do this. I don't think you guys need to actually watch the render happen. That's something that I'm going to do on my own. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this video, and then when it's done rendering, I will be right back. All right, it is now done. So let's play the movie. And there she is in all her beauty. All right, so how do we export this? Well, we're going to export it right here. We're going to click H for highest quality, click on export, and it is going to save it as an MP4. So place it somewhere that you can find it. I have a file in my desktop that I'm going to use. Don't forget to label it. And there it goes. All right, let's take a look. There's the girl turntable. Let's double click. And there she is. All right, so now you have the file, and now you can bring it into Premiere or After Effects and add the elements such as your name, what you're responsible for. So for example, in this case, it would be the 3D model or the sculpting, and then you can have it ready for your portfolio. If you feel like the turntable is a little too slow, you're welcome to take it into Premiere and accelerate it, or you can also decrease the turntable to be a lot faster. All right, let me know what you think by leaving a comment below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you learned a thing or two. If you did, please like and subscribe. That's your message to me, letting me know that you like this content and you want to see more. Don't forget to take a look at academicphoenixplus.com. There you can find free videos, ebooks, resources, and so much more. So take a look at academicphoenixplus.com. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Keep creating, and I will see you next time in the next video tutorial.